Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to the PHLY Flyers Postgame Show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me tonight, that's right, it's Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on tonight, Chuck? How about that game?
Yeah, I went into this game in pregame saying that if they got a point out of it, I would be satisfied. I am satisfied. There are people on social media that are not, but I am personally satisfied with that game. It was an enjoyable game to watch. I think the Flyers mostly played well. They obviously lose in overtime, which is a bummer. But overall, I personally came away feeling pretty good about that one. How about you, Bill?
Yeah, no, I really was impressed with Ivan Fedotov. The first period, bit of an adventure, but he settled in, and that's really all you can ask of your #3 goalie who hasn't played in a month anywhere. Not like he was even getting time in the AHL. He's just kind of been hanging out, getting some practice reps here and there. I thought they played hard. I thought they matched the Leafs' physicality, outshot them by a decent amount, I believe, and just comes down to they eked out a point, and then in 3-on-3, I know we call the shootout the skills competition, but 3-on-3 is a skills competition, and they have a bunch of really good players, and we have like 3.
Yeah, they are more skilled,
yeah,
undeniably, than the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, like look who combined for the winning goal. It's Morgan Rielly from Austin Matthews and John Tavares.
You probably had to win that game in regulation.
Yes.
You probably did. And there was
You could get shootout luck if you get through the 5 minutes, but
yeah, sure.
If this was decided in the 3-on-3, I would have put everything on Toronto.
You're probably going to lose. And you probably could have maybe pushed a little bit more in the final 5 or 6 minutes of the third, because the Leafs sort of took that over. They had the puck for most of the final 5 minutes, which was a little weird given the fact that they played last night and the Flyers didn't. That said, the Flyers are at the end of a long road trip.
Yeah.
A road trip where they played the vast majority of it on the West Coast in Pacific time. They're probably exhausted too. There's a reason why they have a full day off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes, they've been back in the Eastern time for a few days because they practiced yesterday in Toronto. However, it's a long trip. They've been away from home for quite a while. It would have been very easy for them to just say, well, we have our goalie who hasn't played in a month. We'll just lose this one 5-1, ho-hum. Instead, I thought they played really hard in front of him. Yes, I would have liked to have seen them finish stronger, especially given the fact they were playing against a tired Toronto team.
Yeah.
But I'm not discounting the fact that the Flyers, despite the fact they didn't play last night, were probably quite tired too.
Yeah, I'm not like going to use that as an excuse. Toronto's better than them.
Yes.
But the Flyers played very well tonight. We talked in pregame and we heard the quotes like, listen, we're going to have to basically keep Fedotov clean. We're going to have to play really well in front of him. It's up to us. That was the John Tortorella quote. Like, it's up to the guys in front of him because this is a really tough spot. And Fedotov was definitely impressive. Mm-hmm. But you hold the Leafs to 25 shots. That's about as well as you can do. You don't take, they take maybe one minor. That
penalty
they were on the PK, I think, like once in this game.
Yeah.
That's
I believe it was just the one time.
Yeah. It's not like the Leafs have a very successful power play this year. But again, you just look at all that talent.
Historically, they do.
Yeah, like you look at all that talent, it's very hard to defend.
That's a power play where, regardless of whether they currently rank second or 22nd, you are going to be scared of them because of the guys they have, because you assume by the end of the year they're going to be in the top 10 where they almost always are.
I want to give you a little bit of good news before we get into a lot of the game stuff I want to cover tonight. The Eagles playoff game, it has been announced, will be Sunday at 4:30. So that will be what, Sunday the 12th?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, at 4:30 p.m., which means, now that's a lot of people watching, 4for4 fans. You love the Birds. I do. Just good news to know when it is. But also good news for all of the ticket holders for our sweet takeover on Saturday. That game will remain at the scheduled 7 o'clock puck drop. I figured if the Eagles played Saturday, ain't no way that Flyers game is going to be at the time it was scheduled for. But here we are. It will be 7 o'clock. Cutter comes to Philly for the first time. So everyone who has their any tickets to the game, but especially our sweet takeover people, because we love you. Thanks for buying those tickets.
Thanks so much.
You'll be joining us at the regularly scheduled time that's printed on your tickets. Dope. All right. the big story, and social media probably freaking out a lot about Matvei Michkov and everything, the lack of ice time, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, he wasn't that little.
It really
ice time.
wasn't. 14 minutes is a lot. It's pretty close to what he's been playing. We'll get into Mish in a bit. We got to talk about Ivan Fedotov.
Yeah,
it has been exactly a month since his last start. He played 20 minutes on December 5th, got pulled after allowing 2 goals on 7 shots. They weren't particularly strong goals, but he had a 909 in the 6 games before that. He had a very strong November, and then immediately after a bad period, relegated to the number 3 role. It's been all Ersson and Kolosov since. Steps in for the first time in a month. Again, that first period, there was a lot of, what's going on out here? Trouble with rebounds, but he really settled in. Can't be anything but pleased with the way Ivan Fedotov plays. Ends up giving up 3 goals on 25 shots for an .880. Not stellar, but you look at what he did in the second and third period, stopped the 10 shots he faced. Good for him, man. I hope this is the start of maybe him getting back into that form we saw in November and turning this thing back into a competition, or at least competent goaltending, so we can evaluate everybody in front of him, because that's been really tough over the last few weeks. Like, yeah, man, Tyson Foerster look great because they score. Anyone who doesn't show up in the box score, it's hard because they're -2. And like, it's tough to, I don't know, they probably played all right. Flyers were close, but the goalie had a .700 save percentage, so I have no idea what happened. This is hopefully the beginning of him getting the goaltending where it needs to be at some base level of not the worst in the league.
Yeah, I come away from this game I was impressed by Fedotov, not because in a vacuum this was an incredibly impressive performance. He was okay.
Yeah,
.880 save percentage isn't amazing.
It's a bad game.
It's not great. It's below league average, whatever. I thought the second goal, he gives up a bad rebound, kicks it out into the low slot. Then it's just sheer chaos because you give up a bad rebound.
Stops that somehow stop that second one, but then the third one, it's still just sitting there. And
it's chaos. And that's what happens when you give up a bad rebound. It becomes chaos. Everybody loses their structure trying to just get the puck out of the danger area, which you would hope it wouldn't be there if the goalie had done a better job of directing it out of the danger area. And then the overtime goal, it's not unstoppable. I wouldn't necessarily call it a weak goal, but it could have got a save there.
It's a 2-on-1. Yeah, like, it would be cool to get a save.
Cool to get a save.
But I'm not
going to kill him for it.
I'm not killing him. I'm not expecting anything out of him tonight.
And that's what I'm getting at.
It's the grading on a curve here.
I'm very much grading him on a curve here, and I think you should. I think he should be graded on a curve in this game because it is really, really hard to come in after not playing in a game for literally a month. Like, this is not, he went down to the AHL, he got some games. This was the only action he has had over the last month has been practices, and in a lot of those practices, he was barely getting any reps, even in practice.
Because he's the 3.
Because he was the 3. He got a ton of reps, apparently, on Saturday at practice. They tried to get him back in the swing of things,
warm him up.
but it's a little late. It's like, okay, well, you're playing tomorrow, and now we're going to give you all the work, whereas the previous 3-4 weeks, he was getting essentially none of the work. This was an extremely tough spot to throw him into. End of a road trip, so the team's probably a little gassed against a team with a lot of firepower. Yeah, the Toronto is in the second game of back-to-back, but they still got Austin Matthews, Nylander, Marner. They still have some really, really good players. This is a very tough situation to throw him into, and while I don't think in a vacuum it was a great game, given the circumstances and given the challenges leading into this game for him, I think it was a very strong performance overall, even if you could nitpick a lot of things and be like, well, that could have been better. It's like, I went into this game thinking he was probably going to give up 5 or 6.
Yes. No, I joked, like, we bet the over. I bet the over, and I bet a lot of people did. It only gets to 5, and we needed 7. But you see Hildeby on one end, who also played very well. This was his 4th career start, and he comes in with like an 8.75. Fedotov comes in with an 8.77 and hasn't played in a month. It's like, there's going to be 20 goals tonight. And it was a well-goaltended game for a lot of it. Like,
really
that
was.
First period, there were some huge saves. Fedotov really good in the second and third. It's like the grading on the curve of all the circumstances, not to mention just what we've seen in net for the last month. Like, it's also just, we haven't seen a game where someone stops 22 out of 25, and you're like, all right, I mean, they weren't great, but that's not the reason we lost. Like that, they didn't lose because of goaltending tonight. The goaltending 100% could have been better, especially in the first period.
Sure.
But I don't know, score.
Well, so here's my question for you, because this is the obvious next conversation. I don't think Ivan Fedotov was incredible, but he was fine. He kept them in a game that I expected them to lose. He very much outplayed ALLCITY Kolosov in his last game.
Oh, well.
If you are the Philadelphia Flyers, what does this do? Assuming, and we're going to assume, that Sam Ersson, at least in the short term, is out of the picture because he's banged up and won't play at least for the next couple weeks because they're going to take it easy with him. What do you do with the goalies now after this game where not that Fedotov dominated, but he certainly outplayed Kolosov from a couple days ago?
They get back to a normal schedule this week. So we have tonight's game. It is, Sunday. They play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday.
Do you roll with Fedotov again?
I'd probably go back to Fedotov.
Or do you go Kolosov because they're playing the same team again?
I think I go back to Fedotov.
Okay.
And then we start alternating.
Okay.
Until, one of them flat out, pisses all over themselves. Pretty sure we're allowed to say that. That could be on Tuesday for Fedotov.
Good.
And then who the hell knows? And this is, again, like you said, assuming Ersson is not on Ellis Island, but we just don't know. So I'm going to assume he's out until I see him again.
Yeah. He hasn't been practicing. He didn't practice yesterday. He didn't do morning skate today. So it doesn't seem like this is a quick day-to-day, his return is imminent type of thing.
It's his third lower body injury in a month and a half.
Yes.
Something tells me it's going to be a few weeks. Just a guess. The day-to-day designation means absolutely nothing to me.
They lost credibility with the day-to-day designation because that's what they gave him the last time, and then he missed nearly a month.
And last year, man, Rasmus Ristolainen was day-to-day for the last 3 months of the season. But yeah, I probably go back to Fedotov because we just got him warmed up. We just saw one of the best goaltending performances we've had in a few weeks. Go back to him. You take the risk against the same team in a couple of days and then assess from there. I'd probably just alternate until something goes really right or something goes really wrong.
But he's now back in, if not the circle of trust, at least back in the thing where he's playing regularly.
Yes, 100%. Whether he plays on Tuesday or they go to Kolosov, because it's they just saw him. And yeah, there was some luck there. They had a couple whiffs on some low slot chances that's a goal 60% of the time, and you just kind of whiffed. Matthews whiffed a couple times. Man, if he connects, it's a goal because he's Austin Matthews. Yeah. Maybe you go back to Cole, but regardless of what they actually do on Tuesday, I am going to alternate until either Ersson comes back or we have a definitive this dude sucks or this dude is hot.
I think that's
one or the other.
I think that's where my head is too. I don't think Fedotov played well enough in this game for me to be like, yeah, he's the new number one.
Oh, yeah.
Kolosov is the two. We flip-flopped it. We've completely upended the organizational depth chart that's been in their heads for over a month. But I do think that Fedotov's performance, especially given the circumstance, because I'm grading him on a curve. I think the Flyers probably are too. They're probably very impressed with how he did in a very tight spot. At the very least, to me, this is now a 50-50 timeshare for the next week. And then we see where it goes.
Yeah, who the hell knows?
Yeah.
This is Philadelphia goaltending, two rookies who have sucked for most of the season. Yeah. I have no idea what's going to happen. But that's the general plan in my head. That's what it should be. John Tortorella did everything he could to lower our expectations with the quotes we read in pregame. And based on that, I got to give him a B in tonight's game at the very least.
Yeah.
If we're grading on that curve, I'm giving Fedotov a B plus maybe, just because it's been a month.
Yeah.
It's been a month.
Yeah. I mean, when I do my post-game article, I don't think he's going to make my 3 stars of the game when I'm looking at everyone who played. But in my new format for my 10 observations, game stories, my game analysis, more like a breakdown than a story, I do the 3 Flyer stars of the game. And I think he's going to sneak in at number 3.
And check those out on allphly.com. I really dig Charlie's new 10 things format.
Diehards only.
Yeah, diehards only. I mean, you got to sign up, be a diehard, but my God, you get Charlie. Come on. I come to work just to hang out with Charlie and hear his thoughts. No, it's because they pay me. But also, I like Charlie a lot. All right, before we go any further, I got to tell you about our presenting sponsor, Bet365. All right, so I bet the wrong hometown boy to score against the Leafs tonight. It turns out everyone on the Flyers is from the greater Toronto area, and most of the league is. So it was Scott Laughton. It was not Morgan Frost, as I bet pregame. We also didn't get our over, so Bet365 takes me again tonight, as they've been doing all season. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I've been telling you all year, this is the place I've been placing all my game bets, all my futures, my Michkov calder. We're still holding out on that one. But I've been really, really enjoying all the features, the early payouts, all the live stream games they have. I think you will too. So download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. While we're here, let me tell you about TrueMark Financial Credit Union. So many benefits to switching from your big bank to a credit union like TrueMark. And here is another one. It's a free Greenlight account. That's right. The Greenlight app is changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They can set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get their allowance all right there in the Greenlight app. And the really cool part, each kid gets their own debit card so they can make purchases and learn real-world money skills while you stay in control from your phone. So you get peace of mind and they get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kids through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, it's free. Now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to Greenlight. Get signed up today. Visit TRUMARK.com/Greenlight for more information. All right. The goalie situation is what it is.
It's not good.
No.
It's not a good situation in any way, shape, or form. There's a reason why they have the worst save percentage in hockey.
And it's horrendous.
Yeah, it's bad.
Their number one goalie has an .884. You know, that's the way it's been. And he's been hurt for half the season. I bet you my opinion changes on Tuesday, but this is how I am feeling at this moment. It is 10:15 p.m. on January 5th, and that's how I feel about the goalies.
Honestly, it's probably a good stand-in for probably how John Tortorella is feeling.
Yeah, he has no idea.
He views goalies similarly to you, where he just kind of goes by gut feel.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who the hell knows? Yeah. Not a single person has any idea what to expect out of a goalie.
I would hope Kim Dillaball knows more than us.
Yes.
I would hope.
Certainly. The goalie coach, they know what they're looking for certain things. Right. And is he taking to my coaching? Did he do what I asked him to do in these situations? Is he responding to the film? Whatever it is. But that is how we feel about the goalie situation right now. I want to talk about some more positives. I know they lost tonight, and I know it seems as if perhaps some people on social media are upset about certain coaching decisions and whatnot. Oh, what else is new? But there are some things that are going very well for the Flyers. Tyson Foerster right now is a revelation. He has been dominant over the last couple of weeks. He scored his 12th goal of the game. He opened the scoring again. First period goals have been a big thing for Tyson Foerster. Yeah. We were talking, it was funny, the Flyers come in as the worst second period team. They're -19. Leafs come in are +19, best second period team. Obviously, the Flyers won the second period, 1-0. Of
course it did.
Maybe there's absolutely nothing to period by period splits, but whatever. It seems like something with Tyson Foerster in that line right now to get going early. So he scores his 12th tonight, puts them up 1-0. Third goal in the last 4 games. Since that Detroit game on December 18th, 6 goals and 9 points in 9 games. He's got 9 goals and 15 points in his last 22. Since that, really, again, slow start to the season, and this is a problem for a couple of guys on this team. Morgan Frost, some slow starters here. It hurts them. You know, they won one of their first 6 games because of it. But he's been real freaking good lately, and that line continues to just look strong.
Yeah, I think Foerster, number one, to talk about the slow starts, Morgan Frost has done it enough times.
3 times in a row.
That I worry that that's just who he is. Yes, Tyson Foerster, I guess you could argue, had a slow start to last year from a scoring standpoint. He was very good
playing well
with the other things. He just couldn't finish. This year, I thought he got off to a legitimately slow start in everything.
No,
I thought he was playing actively poorly.
His play was worrisome.
Yes. And then sometime around the midpoint of November, he flipped the switch. It clicked for him, and he's gone back to being the guy that got everyone, including us, I think, so excited about him as a rookie. A guy who, yeah, he can score, maybe not at a point per game level, although, maybe that's a ceiling. I guess we'll see. Right now, he's certainly not a point per game guy over an 82 game stretch, but he could be, a 50 to 60 point per point guy. And if he's doing that while delivering incredible underlying metrics and great two-way play and strong work along the boards, that's a really valuable player. That's the guy we've gotten pretty much, I would say, since the start of December is when he really started to turn it around. So for over a month, Tyson Foerster has been really, really good. And the thing with this season, and I get the frustration from fans, because there's really, and we've talked about it on the show so many times, but there's two sections of fans that are frustrated. There is the section of fans who are frustrated because they really just want them to tear it down. And the fact that they haven't will just have them be angry about everything because they didn't tear it down. Then there's a section of fans that want them to be good now because they want to watch a good hockey team. And the frustration point is they're just not that good. They lose games they should win. They don't have the talent, and there's no clear path to getting the talent. So they're frustrated because they just want to see a winning team as soon as possible. I get the double frustration. However, somebody like Tyson Foerster, if he continues on this path, is something good you could get out of the season, where he's a guy where, no, he's not ready yet to be an 82-game stud. We saw that because the first month and a half of the year, he honestly kind of stunk. But this is a guy who he's showing why he could develop into maybe not a superstar. I'm not expecting Tyson Foerster to be the best player on a contender, but could he be one of the 5 best players on a contender? The guy we've seen over the last month? Yeah, maybe.
And we've talked about this time and time again. Like, first of all, in your conversations with whether it's Danny, whether it was Chuck back in the day, or whether it's Brent Flair, like when you make the blanket statement, like, oh, the high-end talent, they think Tyson Foerster is a dude who was seriously underdrafted.
Yeah, they do.
And could be, again, not the driver of a first line, but if he's the third guy on a first line, giving you that great board work, like you said, and he can chip in 20, maybe even 30 goals, like they very much think he is more of a top half of the draft than a bottom half of the first round sort of guy.
Yeah.
They believe that about him quite a bit. Like we've heard that, and now we're starting to see it come together.
And I guess it depends on what your definition of a line driver is, because no, I don't think he's going to be a line driver.
Not the best player on the line.
He's not going to be a line driver in the way that you're hoping Michkov will be at some point, where he's clearly the dude that teams are scared of. However, he could be the guy that you put on a line to make sure that it has the puck in the offensive zone most of the time. And you could, I guess, in theory, because I call those guys play drivers.
Yes.
You could call him a line driver in the sense that he is driving the puck into the place where the goals are scored. You just probably then need a Michkov or a similarly talented with the puck type of guy to take advantage of all that puck possession. Tonight, though, there was a heck of a shot.
I think it was Bush who was like, maybe he just didn't read his scouting report or whatever. Like maybe he didn't check out that pregame packet, or he wasn't mentioned in the meeting, but he seemed blown away by that shot. Like some unknown pitcher comes in and you're like, all right, here comes some bum middle reliever. And then all of a sudden they throw 102 and you're like, what the? Like that.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like he was just like not I don't know. It was just a very surprising goal. We were all like, oh, whoa, hey.
And we know he can shoot.
Yeah,
we all
do
know that.
It just like seemed to really sneak up on Hildeby, who played a great game outside of that.
Played very well.
It was funny, but like even I remember what I was trying to say now when I was vamping earlier and couldn't. The other thing, like we heard possibly in the talks when they just called about Jiricek with Columbus. Like Flyers think of Foerster as an untouchable. Like maybe not to the level of Mish.
No,
like if it was Elias Pettersson and not like a project like Jiricek, yeah, maybe he's not untouchable.
Sure.
But in those sorts of trades, yeah, don't bring up his name. They value him a whole hell of a lot, and we're really starting to see it.
He's showing you why.
It's encouraging because that start to the season was like, I know the whole thing revolves around Michkov, but we need some of these ancillary pieces to really work out. Whether he's a first-line player or a third-line player, you need them too.
I still don't think, maybe not 100%, but I still don't think like the outcome of 90% of peak Mark Stone is out of the mix as a finished product Tyson Foerster outcome. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility at all. And that would be a clear-cut, not only a top 6 forward, but in terms of value added, that's a clear-cut top line forward.
Yes, definitely. And like Mark Stone has really, like his offensive game has come around so much. The playmaking is tremendous. He's got a whole bunch of like 40 assist seasons in there.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can expect that out of Tyson, but maybe similar overall offensive output. And if he can be, listen, wingers basically don't win the Selke, but a guy who you go like, yeah, he could get some down ballot love.
Oh, to be sure.
Like if he can be one of those guys.
With the numbers he puts up in terms of public 5-on-5 metrics, he's going to get down ballot. He can get down ballot votes this year. Because to be honest with you, if you're somebody who goes purely by the stats, he deserves to be in the Selke conversation.
I mean, we heard it last year. What was it? First or second, like graded defensive forward in the league. And
to be
like,
sure.
Listen, is he that good? I don't know. I don't know what half these numbers mean. I'm just asking Charlie most of the time. But I see him at the top of the list, and it can't be bad. Yeah. It's, maybe some of it's like Pro Football Focus. Like if your guy's graded highly, you believe it, and your guy isn't. You're like, well, that's all nonsense anyway.
Yeah.
But like, it's probably better to be at the top of the list than not. And we've seen it.
He picked up a 5th place vote last year.
Yeah,
if he does it again, he has great metrics again. Like, is he going to win it? No, of course not. But he could get, 5 or 6 5th place votes, finish in the top 25, top 20. Sure, I could see that.
Noah Cates picks up another point alongside him again tonight.
Also playing really well. That line again was the most consistent line for the Philadelphia Flyers. Again, it's like an every night thing at this point.
It really is. Yeah. It's hard not to be happy with those guys. Like Tyson Foerster, one, because of what they've basically told us about him, and 2, because what I saw from him last year, I'm like, hell yeah, Tyson Foerster, he's going to be part of this. Noah Cates is someone who I know they like, but I've just been, I don't know, what is he? For so long, maybe it's just a hot streak, but it's hard not to really like what you're seeing out of him too, where I go, all right, this could be a role he's carving out for himself that I didn't see 12, even 4 months ago.
And the longer it goes, the harder it is to just call it a hot streak, because a hot streak is a couple great weeks, maybe a great month. If you do this for 2 months straight, 3 months straight, that's not a hot streak. That's just a good season.
I just love, like, Bobby Brink, no points +2. Just that line is just working. It is working out, and it's they need it, man. They need something to kind of get this thing going. We haven't seen a ton out of Michkov lately. Owen Tippett, we know when he's great, and sometimes he can go away for a little bit. They have one whole line going, and it's them. And I don't think anyone like had that on their bingo card to, oh yeah, you know who's going to be their best line for like a month? It's Foerster, Cates, and Brink.
Yeah. First guy, you mean like Foerster, Frost, and Michkov, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The line I wanted to see all year. Like, I think we got it for like maybe a game or two.
Yeah.
Like, that would be.
Yeah, you start out with Foerster. I'm like, okay, Cates, what? Brink? Really?
Yeah.
And somehow it's working out great.
It's working out very well. So there's, I think, a lot of the positive takeaways to take from tonight. We got to talk about Mish, though.
Okay. Okay.
My first note on the outline, heading Michkov. Note, where is he?
And that was, the question is not, why isn't he getting minutes? The question is, where is he? Like, I haven't seen him. He's been getting shifts. He hasn't been noticeable at all.
That's in the first period, the only real time I noticed him. Now, we talked about that, the second goal Fedotov gives up, the crazy rebound, and then he kicks his leg out for the second save, and then someone just grabs it, dances around him. On that second save, Michkov does have a chance at it and kind of just like plays it a little and drives by rather than maybe slamming on the brakes trying to clear. It was a tough play, but that's like the only time I noticed him in the first period. He did some things after that. He drew Philly's second power play, setting up a chance.
I thought he was better in the second period. He did some things.
And John Tortorella, I think, noticed, because on that second power play, he's out there for the whole power play. He started with the first unit, and then there was like 20 or so seconds left when the second unit gets out there, and he stays out there. Second unit is the Cates line plus him and Risto.
Right.
And he stays out there with them, which is a good sign.
He got the full 2 minutes. He got the Ovechkin treatment.
Yeah, he got the Ovi treatment. In overtime, this one is a little controversial. We have this tweet from Flyers Ant, our pal Ant DeGrazio, and he says, whether you agree or not with Torts getting mad, the play by Michkov is exactly why Torts hates a move like the Michigan. That spin was a low percentage shot that was forced, caused a turnover, and the rest is history. Now, I think this depends a little on your definition of turnover.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not as if, I think when you dump the puck and the other team retrieves it, it should be called a turnover, but it isn't. Hildeby plays the puck into the corner and they break out from there. Maybe if Cates wins his race down low, Tavares doesn't have a chance to get it up to Matthews, and there's not that 2-on-1 to end the game. But it is a point, that shot probably wasn't going in.
Probably not.
Now, early in the game, I was like, they need to pepper this guy, because after the Foerster goal, I'm like, yeah, throw everything at net. This dude stinks. And then he really turned it on.
Yeah.
Also, though, we've said it, Michkov, they said it during the broadcast he sees stuff everyone doesn't. I can't tell him trying to make a play is bad,
Agreed.
Even if an offensive play might have not been the highest percentage thing, because the percentage is a little higher when he does it.
Yeah.
If Garnett Hathaway tries that, it's maybe don't, because your career high is 7 goals.
Well, and John Tortorella straight up said on Saturday, he said, we're not touching anything he's doing in the offensive zone. To me, is that the ideal maneuver? Probably not. He tries to spin a Rama. It's a flashy play. It doesn't really work. However, I don't want him to not try things. As you said, my thing is, hey, he tried it. It didn't work. And it leads to a goal. And he's going to remember that. And he, next time, next 10 games down the road, 20 games down the road, 2 years down the road, when he's given a similar opportunity in overtime, he's going to remember that, okay, well, in that situation, that didn't work. So maybe I should just try dangling through the guy's legs. To me, that's a situation where he's learning. He's learning what he can and can't do in the NHL. He's learning what he can and can't do against certain players, against certain teams. And that's not a play that is worthy of punishment or even anger.
No.
That's just I'd much rather him be making these mistakes at age 20 on a team that isn't going to win a playoff series rather than at age 27 when the Flyers are hopefully trying to win Stanley Cups. This is all part of the learning process. So was that the ideal maneuver by Michkov? Yeah, probably not. He would probably say that because he's well, obviously it wasn't the ideal maneuver. I didn't score. Yeah. So I got to do something different. And hopefully that pays dividends down the road.
Most of the time, I would say just eat it. It's 3-on-3. I doubt they're going to chase you behind the net. You have no help yet. Yeah. Maybe it's coming. Yeah. Live to fight another day. That's kind of the ethos of 3-on-3 now, is don't let them get the puck. But because he's him, and also he's him in this learning phase of his career, it's hard for me to have a real problem with it. Even though I understand where some people might come, I do not expect him to be punished for it. I don't think he should. He should try to score pretty much all the time. It's just maybe there's a higher percentage play to be made, whether it's right at that moment or 10 seconds from now.
But this is where you get back to that constant debate where you have the people who want the Flyers to be entirely forward focused, almost to the point where they would be fine if the Flyers were the worst team in the league. And then you have the people who want the Flyers to win as many games as possible because they enjoy watching the Flyers win and they want the Flyers to be as present focused as they possibly can. The present focused people watch that play and we're mad because they're just that was dumb and we lost because of that play. The kid needs to make better decisions. I understand why Torts would be mad. The very future-oriented people are probably how dare you even say one syllable of negativity about Michkov? He's our perfect child. He can do nothing wrong. Yeah. The answer is probably somewhere in the middle, in that, probably not the smartest play in the world. Also, don't kill the kid. He's 20 years old. He's still learning what works and what doesn't, and that'll probably pay dividends 3-4 years down the road when he truly does know exactly what to do in that situation because he's made the mistakes as a 20-year-old.
And game 40. Yeah. He's got 3 overtime winners already.
He's pretty good at it already.
Yeah, he's not bad. It's kind of hard to be I would have done something different in overtime. It's he has more overtime winners than half of the Flyers, more than half, probably 2/3 of the Flyers roster, and he's played 2 fewer games, 38 career games.
I believe Team USA did win.
Oh, USA won. Nice.
Yep.
It was 3-3 going into the third. It was
Teddy Stiga. I love Teddy Stiga. He was like one of my top.
He was.
He was one of the guys I really wanted for the Flyers at that late first-round pick spot. Bummer. Well, happy for Teddy. I like him a lot as a player, but I'd like it more if he was a Philadelphia Flyers prospect.
No. Congratulations to the Team USA World Juniors team bringing home gold, taking down those evil Finns. That's good stuff. I don't know if the Finns are actually evil.
They seem fine.
They seem
like pretty likable people.
All right, this is something that came up. Scott Laughton, and I also want to.
It's been real good
in the Scott Laughton conversation. You pointed it out on Twitter. What a pass and play by Coots to set up that goal. That is that's not bad for the Scott Laughton goal.
Yeah,
Coots to Scoots. But
Coots to Scoots.
Yeah. Scott Laughton, though, his production, first 29 games of the year, 3 goals, 7 assists, and 2 of those goals came against Seattle in like the 4th game of the year. Real tough for him production-wise. He scores those 4 goals against Detroit, and obviously a 4-goal game is going to inflate your numbers no matter who you are because you scored 4 freaking goals in 1 game. But even without that, he's got 6 goals, 6 assists in his last 11. You know, without that, it's, 8 points in 11 games? That's pretty damn good for him, especially.
Yeah.
But he's at 12 points in his last 11. Rough start for him. And last year, we kind of have that perception coming out of that year, like, difficult year. We were talking about it during the game. Like, just made a lot of mistakes. And, like, Scott Laughton is out there because he's a guy you can count on. Is he the most skilled? Is he the best player? Does he belong in a top 6? Like, no. But you can count on Scott Laughton usually. Like, that's his thing. And you just couldn't last year for whatever reason. In his own head, just a bad year, dealing with something. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But after first part of the season, really hard to argue with his production. He's been the ceiling of what you can hope for from Scott Laughton.
Yeah. And this goes back to, we were talking about this during the game because I brought up the fact that after last season, especially people who are into advanced metrics, because if you look at his production last year, like his end of season, 13 goals, 39 points in 82 games, it's pretty good. It's the second best scoring season. Overall, you look at that and you're like, yeah, Scott Laughton did about what you would expect him to do, especially given the fact that he had about 2.5 fewer minutes per game than he did the season before when he hit his career highs of 18 goals and 43 points. Production-wise, you're like, yeah, Laughton was about what you hope he's going to be. Pretty solid season. The underlying 5-on-5 metrics, though, were bad. And a lot of the people who are really into advanced metrics, I certainly count myself to be one of them, were concerned about that. You know, this is a guy who is, last year he was 30 years old. He turns 31 in May. That is the time when some guys start to slip. And Scott Laughton, while he's a good player, he's certainly not a guy where he has to fall from this extremely high peak.
Yeah.
You know, a Claude Giroux can get worse and still be a clear top 6 forward at age 36 because at age 25, he was one of the 10 best players in the world.
Yeah.
So you drop down from that and you still are pretty darn good. If Laughton loses a couple steps, maybe he's just not a good NHL player anymore, period. And I think a lot of people were worried about that when you looked at his underlying metrics and you're just like, yikes. But what I talked to you about during the game and the reason why I wasn't personally that concerned, and this will tell you, I'm not just a stat guy. I watched Scott Laughton play last year, and I didn't see a guy who looked noticeably slower or looked noticeably weaker or looked fragile, looked a completely different player where you're watching him and you're just like, you know, I think back to David Justice. There's a quote in Moneyball, the book. David Justice basically would like be hitting balls before a game, and he would just say, "Yeah, that was out of there 5 years ago." And it's just that's the aging process.
Yeah.
You get worse, and balls you used to hit out of the park now get to the warning track. And if you're a hockey player, you know, shots that you used to rip end up getting caught by the goalie because they're just a little bit slower than they used to be. I didn't see a dramatic physical drop off from Laughton. I just saw a guy who was making more mistakes. And I don't think he got dumber. Like, I think he just had a year where he made a lot of mistakes. And to me, it was the obvious answer of like, yeah, this is just a random rough year at 5-on-5. And he will probably go back to being not a great 5-on-5 player, but not a liability. And that's exactly what's happened. He's scoring points now. He's on a hot streak, and that's great. But even his underlying numbers, he's back to being a positive impact guy on expected goals at 5-on-5. His defensive metrics are better. His offensive metrics are better. It just looks like last year was a weird year where probably got caught in his head for a few months and just started making mistakes. And now he's not making those mistakes. And now he's scoring a lot of points too, which is cool.
And when I look at his point production, because these last previous two seasons, a couple of years ago, 43 points career high. Last year, 39. He had 7 and 8 shorthanded points.
Yeah, that did juice the numbers a bit.
While it's part of what they're paying him for and like what makes him valuable, those are stupid. Like, you can be the best shorthanded player and have one shorthanded point in a year sometimes. Like, I was looking at Mike Richards' numbers the other day because I listened to that interview with him on Nasty Knuckles. So I was I was in a Mike Richards rabbit hole.
Fair.
And it was like, you see the shorthanded goals, like especially when he was here, and it's like 5, 4, 7, and then 1 year with like 1. And then, like, the next year, 5 again. Sometimes it happens.
Sometimes weird stuff happens in hockey. Yeah.
Even if you get the breakaways and chances, sometimes they just don't go in.
Yeah.
And like, maybe that's suppressing his numbers after they were inflated the last couple of years. Like, now I think he has 1 shorthanded point this year, 1 goal and 1 assist, 2. So
and now he's not paired with Konechny anymore. Because my guess, and Laughton was always a fine penalty kill guy, and he will remain a fine penalty kill guy. If you're talking about what's juiced his offensive numbers, though, it's probably that duo with Konechny.
Yes.
He's led the league in shorthanded points the last 2 years because he's playing alongside Travis Konechny, a guy who is extremely fast and extremely offensively oriented. Like, yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why he's scoring more. If he was with Ryan Poehling, even, who's also fast but nowhere near as skilled, he probably has, 3 shorthanded points instead of 7.
Yeah, and it's like, Konechny finishes on the rush at a rate that's like, it's not McDavid or McKinnon, but it's next down. He finishes a lot of his rush chances.
He does.
And most dudes, it's 40% instead of 80, like whatever Konechny is. So I'm just really, really excited about what we're getting out of Scott Laughton now. And I think some people are excited for a different reason.
Of course.
So we get this tweet, and a lot of people were saying it, but I saw it from the Fourth Period's Twitter, David Pagnotta. Scott Laughton ties this game up for Flyers on a nice pass from Coots against a team that's tried to acquire him in the past. And I made a joke in the outline. They interview him at intermission, and they ask him how much he likes, coming home, that sort of thing, because he's from 35 minutes away, Oakville. He's like, oh, I love playing in Toronto. Love coming home, family and friends all here, great time. Do you think there's any chance? Maybe not to the Maple Leafs, but because they played the Maple Leafs and we think we know that was the team that offered some sort of first-round pick. You and I are skeptical of if it was straight up.
Yeah, that it was an unconditional first-round pick.
But
we suspect there were probably conditions on that.
The report is that was the team that offered a first. Do you think there's any chance?
I can't rule anything out. And I do believe that if a team were to make an offer for Scott Laughton that was a no strings attached late first round pick, I think the Flyers, I don't know if the Flyers would accept it, but they would certainly think long and hard about it. I think they probably would. It would hurt them, but they probably would. I just don't think anybody's made that offer. And I think they've sort of accepted that they don't think anyone ever will, which is why they think they're going to hold on to him. That said, a team could. He's having a good year. He's scoring a ton of points, and he still has all the intangible value that he had 2 years ago when teams were chasing him down. So it's possible. And look, the Flyers got a point out of this game. They're still in the mix, but they don't exactly have a high playoff likelihood here.
No,
they don't.
I mean, you look at these standings. They showed them during the game, and they showed just the straight up Eastern Conference standings. And I was like, this is giving me a seizure the way this looks. They could finish last in the East, unlikely, but they could finish last in the East, or they could make the playoffs, also unlikely. But it's a bleep show. The Eastern Conference this year. There's there's 3 really good teams, and everyone else has between 33 and 42 points.
Yeah.
It's definitely possible that they could be in the mix, but as we saw last year, and last year is different because Sean Walker is a guy who, while they said they asked what it would take to re-sign him, that never made any sense.
It never really did.
And it's a dude, you like have to make that trade. With the guys they have under contract, right? Like there's no expiring contracts in terms of UFAs.
Yeah, 'cause they signed everybody.
Scott Laughton has another year or two left. Risto has another year or two left.
Yeah,
I think it's 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think Laughton has one more year after this.
Yeah.
And Risto has two.
Yeah.
I believe.
Like you don't have to trade these guys, but if the right offer comes in, why wouldn't you? But it'll maybe be a little bit different of a deadline this year. I like Scott Laughton a lot, and I am at peace with him playing 1,000 games as a Flyer. Like I absolutely believe that that's going to be the outcome of
all of this,
of
right?
how this goes. But you just see him producing. You see him producing against that team that has been interested in him allegedly for years. You see some of the things going on around the league. I know I keep bringing up Vancouver, but it's like, sounds like they need a little leadership too, And
there are a lot of teams that could use a Scott Laughton. The question is, are they willing to?
Are
pay
they
up?
willing to make that trade?
Because I don't think the Flyers have made Scott Laughton untouchable.
No.
And I think they've made that clear to Laughton.
They've said out loud,
hey,
you have to overpay us.
Yeah, but we'll trade him if you overpay based on, like you're going to have to give up. He's a 35 to 40 point true talent guy probably. You're going to have to pay as if he's a 55 to 60 point guy because we value his intangibles that much. And I'm not going to rule out the possibility that at some point a team may be like, no, we really do need a Scott Laughton to be the bottom 6 swingman who plays center and wing and brings the hyper intangibles and solidifies our room. Can't rule out that possibility. I will say I'm not necessarily expecting it.
Let's take a quick second so I can tell you about one of our sponsors here, Rothman Orthopedics. Do you have aching joints? Do you have cramping hands? Is your back out of whack? Well, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, they've been practicing specialized care, and it's been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, it's high-quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research leading to new treatments and better outcomes for their patients, because each Rothman doc is laser-focused on their specialty. If it's hip, knee, spine, you name it, they have a team for each body part right in your backyard so you can get back to, scoring the puck in men's league or maybe draining some jump shots in your pickup game, whatever it is. Rothman has a team for you. They're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Rothman Orthopedics, specializing in you and orthopedics. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more or make an appointment today. No, man, I got to tell you about one of my favorites here. You know about Shady Rays. I've been telling you for a while about Shady Rays. You got to get ready for all seasons with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized sunglasses that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. I've got my hair a little long. I love aviators. Aviators typically have that little nose piece. You put it up on your head when you go into Wawa, grab yourself, an energy drink before you come to work. You come out of Wawa, put them down, your hair's stuck in them. They have tangle-free options on every style, including aviators. Highly recommend that for my long-haired peeps out there, and you can get them or any of their styles exclusively for our listeners. Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com. Use code PHLY for 35% off polarized glasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Charlie, this is a comment because I was just thinking about Coots. He makes that nice play to set up the goal tonight.
Yeah.
Ryan Poehling has been kind of the top center. I mean, it's Cates, and they work in Poehling, but Cates ends up playing 16:33 tonight, and Poehling is right there at 16:31.
They don't really have a 1C.
No, I mean,
I think that's what they definitely don't from a talent standpoint, but they also don't really have one from a usage standpoint either.
And
they're just splitting the minutes.
When they put these lines together, that was kind of one of the things I liked about it was an acknowledgement of we barely have a top 6, we barely have a bottom 6. It's just kind of a bunch of third line dudes at this point, and like Travis Konechny, who's awesome.
Right.
Mish when he's on, but he hasn't been for a few weeks.
Fair.
I said to you, somewhat jokingly and somewhat not, I believe, for the most part, that Danny Briere and John Tortorella on the same page They know what the plan is. They know what the weaknesses of this team are. But when I see Ryan Poehling, basically tonight he ties for the most minutes amongst the centers, fifth amongst all forwards. When I see that, I wonder if a little part of John Tortorella is like, "This is what you gave me. I would like a center, please." And like
one center.
Danny Briere is not stupid. Like
No,
he very much knows, and they again say all the time they badly need a center.
Yeah.
But when I see Poehling basically as your 1C or 2C, I think John Tortorella is maybe, he's playing the hand he's dealt, certainly. Maybe sending a little bit of, can you get me someone?
Hey, Bill, he threw a just turned 18-year-old
Yes,
on the opening night roster and used him like a top 6 forward. Yeah, he's trying to send this message. The thing is that I don't think it's I'll equate it. What I will equate it to is I will equate it to when John Tortorella rips on a player after a practice. And then we go to interview the player, and the player's like, "Look, I heard that exact same thing from Torts this morning. It doesn't shock me. He said that to you guys because I've already heard it." Any message that John Tortorella is sending to Danny Briere is something he is torn paint off the wall by screaming at Danny Briere in his office about. So, yes, is there a little bit of a message send with the like, well, we're using Poehling. Well, Jelachenko has to be on this team because my centers stink. Yeah, probably. But it's not a message that he's not sending verbally to Danny Briere as well.
Yeah.
It's probably something he says every day. Like, I'm thinking, you ever seen Zero Dark 30?
I don't think
So. In Zero Dark 30, Jessica Chastain's character, it's like they find where they think Bin Laden is, but they haven't sent a team in to actually go get him. And she just has like every day she goes into her boss's office and it's like days since I found it, and she erases it, adds another day. That is what John Tortorella goes into Danny's office. It's like, it's been 180 days since I told you we need a first line center. You haven't got me one. And every day he's just going in and adding another number. That I think is what's going on.
Like, listen, you can only acquire the players that are available.
Sure.
I know we're all frustrated. I want to move for move's sake because honestly, I like shiny new toys. I am in the content business as well.
Indeed.
Trades drive traction. Like I get it. John Tortorella also not stupid, but he's sitting there like, this is what I have. And listen, I like the way the team's been playing for the most part, and it's very apparent that they don't have enough talent. A game like tonight, where they outplay, more or less,
they
a better team.
Outshot them, outchanced them. Yeah, the Flyers, by the numbers, you look at it, they win the shots on goal battle 33-25. They win the expected goals battle, all situations per natural stat trick, 2.92 to 2.38. They win the shot attempts battle 68-53. Every single category, they outplayed the Toronto Maple Leafs except for one, goals. Why?
And that's
because Toronto has more talent.
Yeah, Toronto has guys who score goals, and the Flyers have like 1.5, 2.5. I guess we can put Tippett in that.
The Flyers have talent. They don't have as many of the really good guys.
They don't have like things that make it cohesive and work all together.
Yeah.
Like they have pieces, but it's like, yeah, man, if Owen Tippett had a center and like, could be on offense the whole game because he had a play driving center, he'd score 4.
Yeah, like give Joel Farabee a really good center. Yeah,
give Joel Farabee.
Maybe he's a 60-point guy. It's like, well, they don't know.
Yeah. So
he is what he is.
And that's why the Flyers are 17, 18, and 5 with Tuesday representing the halfway point. Like that's just where we are. All right, Chuck, it is time for Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Lead us off. What's star number 3?
Ooh, star number 3. I will go with. I'm going to go with one Rasmus Ristolainen. I think
couple of assists.
I think he had a really strong game. I have this already written out in my Flyers 3 stars of the game article that I'm writing. There are some games where guys pick up a couple secondary assists, and you're like, yeah, we got lucky. He wasn't involved in the play, and he just picked up a couple cheapies. No big deal. This was a game where those secondary assists, well, I'm not going to say he was super integral to those goals. This was karmic reward for how strong of a game he had in every other facet. I think that is fair to say. He was everywhere in this game. he leads the team in shots on goal. He had hits. He's being aggressive in the offensive zone. There was a point in the first period where he's like up in the middle of the slot trying to win a puck, and he wins it and then keeps possession. Risto was doing all the things tonight. Really strong game by him. To me, he was the best Flyer on the ice tonight, I would say.
And yeah, John Tortorella agreed. 23-10 leads all defensemen tonight in time on ice. Strong game for him. 5 shots on goal, and Laughton had 4. He led the way in shots. That's insane. Yeah. All right, Charlie, hit us with star number 2.
Star number 2, I will go with Austin Matthews. Gets 2 assists. I know he doesn't get the game winner. He assists on the game winner. He's not playing at 100%. We all know that, but he's a real freaking good player, man. He still scares you every time he touches the puck. He's still impactful. Strong game by him. He's, we talk about the fact that Toronto has the stars, the Flyers. They have Konechny, who is I would say, lower tier star. Michkov is a burgeoning star, but not quite there yet. Austin Matthews is a superstar. And that is a big reason why they won this game. Austin Matthews is a superstar. They have it. The Flyers don't. Toronto wins because they win on their star talent, and Austin Matthews is a big part of it. He's second star of the game for me.
All right, finally, hit us with star number 1.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Dennis Hildeby.
Yeah.
He was really, really good in this game. Finishes 30 saves on 32 shots, .938 save percentage. Maybe you could say he could have stopped that first goal by Foerster, but Foerster has a really good shot. He does. He's a shooter. He was drafted as a sniper. He's obviously added a lot of elements to his game beyond that, but I'm not going to kill Hildeby for not stopping a guy with a really good shot point blank. It happens sometimes. The rest of the game, though, he's fantastic. And I didn't expect this to be a sort of goalies duel, but that's the way it kind of was, especially maybe the final 40 minutes of the game. Yeah. It kind of played out like that. Hildeby was great. I thought that this was going to be a high-scoring game. Instead, both goalies played at least okay. Fedotov, I would say, played okay. Hildeby, I would say, played very well.
After the Foerster goal, Hildeby was excellent. Maybe a couple lucky saves there. Maybe the Flyers could have had a few more high danger chances. They had a lot of shots. I don't know how many of them were like super dangerous, but the ones that were, he stopped. It's really, really strong game from him. As I said,
Flyers were around 3 expected goals. They got 2 real goals. That's 1 goal that the goalie took away.
And they won by 1.
That's the game.
They win by 1. So there you go.
There you go.
All right. Let's hit those super chats.
Super chats.
3 super chats for us tonight. Let's lead it off with Adam S. Adam S. says, poor Charlie trying to make me look at the bright side, tweets to a bunch of rabid fans on Twitter.
I'm trying to make fans look at the bright side
LMAO.
On Twitter.
I thought they played well, 2-man, fun game to watch. Go Flyers. Keep up the good work, guys.
Well, it's fun because one of my new additions to 10 things in my, on my article is what are Flyers fans in my Twitter Blue Sky mentions angry about. Oh, that is actually one of the 10 observations. So I do it now in part to get material for my article. What are people angry at? So people are angry, it just seems in general, that they lost.
I'm so proud of you.
Which fair.
I'm so proud of you, Charlie. You've come a long way.
I'm trying to mature and not care about what the Twitter or X people actually say.
I like that you're stirring them. I think that's commendable. All right, from Gary B. Let's see here. I'm going to see the boys in March in Toronto. Should I wear a Flyers jersey? I'm debating it personally.
Toronto
Let's
fans
go Flyers.
Aren't do crap.
Yeah, especially, man, there's fans. Come on. There's
weak sauce.
Actually, I heard tonight, I saw on Twitter some Maple Leafs beats, I think, saying there's fewer Flyers jerseys than usual. There's usually a decent amount.
Okay.
And tonight they were a little more sparse, and that makes sense. They're not good.
Yeah.
Right after the holidays
but Gary, I would 100% wear that jersey. I do not think Toronto fans.
Yeah, it's.
I would honestly.
Canadian.
I would worry more about Vancouver or Montreal fans than Toronto fans.
They're insane.
I mean, Montreal fans are ready to start a rebellion where they want to secede from Canada, and Vancouver fans burn their city down.
Leafs fans hate their own team.
Yeah,
they don't. Sure. They have too much. They have too much time throwing their own jerseys on the ice to worry about what jersey you're wearing.
Accurate.
Wear it with pride, Gary B. And before we wrap up, I just want to say we appreciate all of you that are watching on TV. Head over to allphly.com for more of the show. And of course, to sign up to be a diehard, read Charlie's articles, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. And our final super chat from Spiral Out says, PHLY is hella fat.
Man,
I agree.
Back to the 90s here.
I was wondering if he was making fun of all of like my 90s slang. But
what 90s slang do you still
I don't know.
use?
I feel like I use dope a lot.
Is dope 90s?
I feel like it is.
Maybe.
No?
I guess.
All right.
I feel like it's accepted vernacular at this point.
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Plus I have the orange and blue. I feel like, or the orange and green. Like that's
Your clothing
Yes.
styles definitely echo the 90s with like the big colors and the big logos.
Yeah.
That's fair. I don't think your words are overly 90s.
Either way, thanks a lot, Spiral Out. And thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out tonight. If you haven't already, make sure you're following us right here on the YouTube page. Hit that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. We'll be back tomorrow with our regularly scheduled studio show at 4 p.m. So come and hang out for that.
I believe it is a StreamYard show.
Oh, no, yeah, it's on StreamYard. But
Right.
it's our normal, like, not a pre or post game.
We're getting hit
But
with
yes,
we're getting hit with snow.
there's going to be snow, so we're working from home tomorrow. Just to everyone be safe. But yeah, we will be here at 4 p.m. The full schedule for this upcoming week is pinned to the top of our Twitter page. So make sure you follow that as well at PHLY_Flyers. And follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. Until tomorrow, let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.